The Perron family haunting at the Conjuring House is one of the most chilling and well-documented cases of paranormal activity in modern history. This haunting, which unfolded in the 1970s, involved a family of 7 who moved into a secluded farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, a home with a dark and storied past. Built in 1736, the house was originally known as the Arnold Estate and was known locally as a site of tragic events, making it ripe for the ghostly occurrences that would soon unfold. The Conjuring House, with its 14 rooms and eerie ambiance, has a fascinating and disturbing history. Long before the Perrons arrived, the house had been the site of numerous deaths and tragedies, contributing to its reputation as a haunted location. According to local lore, at least 8 generations of the Arnold family lived and died on the property, and many stories of grief, violence, and despair surrounded their time there. One of the most notorious figures linked to the house is Bathsheba Sherman, a woman rumored to have practiced witchcraft. In the 1800s, she was accused of sacrificing her infant child in the name of dark rituals. Bathsheba was said to have lived on the property and was known to be deeply feared by locals. After her death, stories persisted that her spirit roamed the estate, seeking vengeance or perhaps a connection with the living. The home itself has a reputation for its oppressive atmosphere. Visitors often report feeling a heavy weight upon entering, and many claim to sense a foreboding presence. The house's isolation, nestled in dense woods away from prying eyes, only adds to its sinister allure. With its creaky floorboards and aged, peeling wallpaper, it is a quintessential setting for a haunting. When Roger and Carolyn Perron, along with their 5 daughters Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April moved into the Arnold estate in 1971, they were initially unaware of its haunted reputation. However, it didn't take long for the family to realize that they were not alone. The eerie occurrences began with relatively benign events, such as unexplained cold drafts, strange noises echoing through the halls, and items inexplicably moving or disappearing. As time went on, the family's experiences escalated dramatically. The daughters reported unsettling sightings of ghostly figures, particularly an old woman who would appear in their bedrooms at night. They described her as cold and menacing, often hovering silently at the foot of their beds. One daughter, Cindy, recounted feeling a spirit tugging at her hair, while another claimed to have seen ghostly apparitions roaming the house, often dressed in old-fashioned clothing. The family's encounters with apparitions intensified over the years. The old woman was just one of many spirits that the Perrons believed occupied their home. In one particularly chilling incident, Carolyn experienced a nightmare where she encountered a spirit who seemed to cry out in anguish, claiming to be searching for her lost child. This encounter left Carolyn shaken, and it became evident that the family was dealing with forces far beyond their understanding. The spirit of Bathsheba Sherman, who was suspected of tormenting the family, became a focal point of the haunting. Carolyn Perron reported feeling an overwhelming presence, often accompanied by a sense of dread. On one occasion, she experienced a violent and painful encounter in which she claimed to have felt a sharp, stabbing sensation in her leg. After inspecting her leg, she discovered a small, unexplained puncture wound that resembled a needle prick. This incident solidified her belief that Bathsheba's spirit was actively trying to drive her from the home. As the haunting progressed, poltergeist activity became more frequent and severe. Objects began to move inexplicably, furniture would shift from one room to another, and heavy objects would be found overturned or thrown across rooms. The Perrons reported hearing strange knocks on the walls which seemed to respond to their questions, creating a chilling atmosphere of communication with the unseen. Bed shaking became a regular occurrence, often waking the family in the middle of the night. Carolyn described nights filled with panic, with the girls waking up in tears and terror. In one of the more terrifying moments, Carolyn claimed to have seen a dark figure hovering over her bed, whispering threatening words and telling her to get out. This chilling encounter left the family on edge, and they began to question their safety in the home. Desperate for help, the Perrons reached out to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were known for their work in various famous hauntings across the United States. The Warrens arrived at the Conjuring House in 1974 and immediately sensed a dark presence. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, claimed to feel an oppressive energy in the house and quickly identified Bathsheba Sherman as a malevolent spirit.
In most any situation, there is some haunting phenomena. It doesn't mean that it's negative. You know, it could be a human spirit that would be doing it, but almost every hospitals, not really, you know. No, not hospitals, because they're not home, and then most people, of course, naturally are in pain and things like that. But that's all being taken care of by them. But we never had a haunting really in that way, or even in a mental institution.
Because people think so, right? You think hospitals and mental institutions.
Yes, but no, not really.
Well, how would one protect oneself at home? From
your
spirit
your beliefs in God.
Despite the escalating activity and the terrifying experiences, financial constraints forced the Perron family to stay in the house. For nearly a decade, they endured the hauntings, learning to coexist with the spirits to some extent. Andrea Perron later recounted how the family developed coping mechanisms, finding ways to protect themselves from the darker spirits while attempting to understand the more benign entities. Over time, the children began to develop a strange bond with some of the spirits, often describing them as playful or protective. Andrea has said that while some spirits were genuinely frightening, others felt like guardians, keeping watch over the family. However, the pervasive presence of Bathsheba remained a source of fear, and certain rooms in the house were strictly off-limits, particularly those where the haunting seemed strongest. As the years passed, the family experienced numerous events that defied logical explanation, including strange sounds, sudden drops in temperature, and the sense of being watched. Their experiences left an indelible mark on them. YouTube has played a crucial role in shaping the public perception of the Perron family haunting. Numerous channels have produced videos analyzing the events, interviewing Andrea Perron, and recounting the family's experiences. Many videos feature interviews with Andrea, who stands by her family's claims, asserting that their haunting was real and that the entities they encountered were deeply malevolent.
As I grew up, I had access to an 80,000 volume library, and I read from that library extensively about religion, all the religions of the world, and I was really an atheist at that point when we moved to the farm. But I said, for the sake of the children, you should leave lights on at night.
When you walk in a house that evil, you know that that house really had very, 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 very bad vibes.
In her day, she was the house of the county, you know, the one that you drive by and they're like, that was the first house. And that's what she was. And
started to absorb the karma of the house almost as through osmosis. We would hear the mournful, pitiful, sad weeping of children in the house.
And it was...
The story of the Perron family and the Conjuring House captured significant media attention, particularly after the release of The Conjuring in 2013, which dramatized their experiences.
And so James and I had a creative conversation. At the end of it, I said, if Patrick's in, I'm in. I went over to my computer and there was these claw marks across the last day after we got back, flew home from North Carolina where we filmed, and the next morning I woke up in my own bed. And and the same claw marks appeared on my thigh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
You have to quote. You have to have some holy water.
Today, the Conjuring House continues to attract a steady stream of visitors captivated by its haunting legacy and paranormal reputation. Since changing hands, the new owners have dedicated themselves to preserving the property's historical integrity, ensuring that the house retains its character while welcoming ghost hunters, curious tourists, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. They have implemented various measures to maintain the home's original features, allowing visitors to step back in time while exploring its eerie corridors and shadowy rooms. These experiences contribute to the house's reputation as a hotspot for the supernatural, and stories of ghostly encounters continue to circulate, adding to the mystique of this infamous location. The combination of its rich history, chilling tales, and the lingering energy from past occupants ensures that the Conjuring House remains a compelling destination for anyone intrigued by the paranormal.